Bree, if you feel overwhelmed by all the things you have to do right now, and maybe you're even losing it with your kids, yelling, screaming, and then probably feeling totally horrible about it, know that you're not alone.
Motherhood can be just so incredibly lonely and overwhelming. And when you're trying to do it alone, it feels like you're the only person that's going through it.
That's why we created the free Happy Mom Summit. Let me just add, free third annual Happy Mom Summit.
I love it. You get to experience 5 days of inspiration, fun, connections, and practical strategies that are going to help you yell less, find more patience. And this one, totally my favorite, organize your time.
And we have so much fun, Brie. It's like hanging out with you and me like every day, every morning. We're in there in the group, and I look forward to this week all year.
It is so much fun. We have over like $2,500 in prizes. It's all about connecting, meeting new people, and seriously, you can't lose.
Yeah, and officially it starts March 4th, but you can go sign up now, and the fun has already begun in our online group.
So sign up now for your free ticket. Yes, you heard that right. It is totally free, man. Just visit us at register.happymomsummit.com, but you're also going to want to grab that VIP pass.
Yep, grab that right after because you can get all the presentations right now, and you can get over $1,000 worth of bonuses from our speakers. Plus, you get to join me and Bree in Balance VIP for a month. I mean, this is the best. You can't lose. Go and sign up, register.happymomsummit.com, and we will see you in there.
And I thought, something has to give. Like, it can't just be them. I was a third grade teacher. Kids hold a mirror up to you and they show you all of the beautiful parts of you and also all the things that you're not interested in looking at. And I thought, what would happen if I basically chilled out? Would their behavior change?
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the delightful Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
Today, we're talking about one of our favorite topics, which is self-care and how you can prioritize yourself, because that is why we are here for you at No Guilt Mom, to be a happier parent by prioritizing you. And before we really get into it, Bree, we always have a favor to ask of everyone listening.
We would love for you to, just wander on over to Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review. Tell us what you think. Rate and review. Share.
Yes, it helps us get all of the goodness that we want for you to have in your life, this no guilt, this no shame, out to as many women as possible. So please rate and review us. It really does help us in the algorithm of Apple Podcasts. And without further ado, we want to introduce you to Tami Hackbarth. She is a life and work coach. She's a fair play facilitator, a speaker, and host of the 100% Guilt-Free Self-Care podcast, which prior to this interview, 30 minutes before, I had just finished an interview for that podcast. So go and listen to that. She's also the author of the book, The Essential Guide to 100% Guilt-Free Self-Care, and creator of the group coaching experience, Deferred Maintenance. She helps women get their time and energy back so they can create the world they want to live in. We hope you enjoy our conversation with Tami. You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. Well, we're totally in an interesting situation in this interview because I just got off talking with Tami for an hour and a half for your podcast, Tami. So tell us, you are all about self-care, which we definitely promote here at the No Guilt Mom podcast. How did you get into teaching about self-care?
I needed self-care.
Yeah, that's usually it, right?
Yeah. It's like you teach what you need. I changed careers 3 times. I started in politics, I moved to teaching, and now I'm a coach. And the one thing that my first 2 careers had in common is that I was in a pattern of overwork, collapse, burnout, sort of recover, and then come back and do it all over again and wonder why I felt terrible and was having a hard time, like, making progress in my goals and keeping my house clean and feeling good in my life. And when I became a teacher, I was like, I love this job. I want to be
Mhm.
happy in this job. Like, how can I feel fulfilled and happy? And I will say, I didn't come to this completely by myself. I went to my principal one time to ask for some advice about something in my classroom, and he walked behind the desk behind me, closed the door, and he came back around and he said, "Are you happy being a teacher?" And you guys, I burst into ugly tears
Mm.
and was like, "Of course I'm not happy. That's why I'm here."
Mhm.
Right? It's like that question you don't wanna hear because you don't wanna have to say the answer.
You don't want to have to
Yeah,
change anything,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So I did. I was a little insulted. I will admit it. And so I took this as a personal challenge to sort of fix my life in the way that what would happen if I did all those things that are recommended? What in my life would change, if anything? Because I was like, I wasn't convinced that sleeping well, eating well, meditating, moving my body made that much
Mhm,
difference because I
mhm,
had never been consistent
mhm.
before.
Mm. Mhm.
So after that gentle call in from my principal, I decided to dedicate the rest of the school year, and that was in November. So I like had a long runway to making dinner, connecting with friends, meditating, actually making it to yoga class without, getting a speeding ticket on the way there.
Being rushed on the way to yoga. Yes, that's a great
Absolutely,
way to start the
right?
yoga practice. Yeah.
Exactly. You're like, I'm gonna make it there. And what I discovered was in that year I had a particularly rough class. Like, whoa, they were a tough nut to crack as a whole.
Mhm.
And I thought, something has to give. Like it can't just be them. I was a third grade teacher. Kids hold a mirror up to you and they show you all of the beautiful parts of you and also all the things that you're not interested in looking at. And I thought, what would happen if I basically chilled out? Would their behavior change? Would I feel better at work? So I took on this, basically school year long experiment. And what I discovered was that everything changed. My relationship at home changed. My spouse was like, wow, you're a lot happier. My relationship with my students changed. Like, I couldn't believe how much my behavior was affecting their
Mhm.
behavior. The relationship I had with my body changed. And I thought,
Mm.
oh my God, if everyone did this, we could change so much in the world.
Oh, okay. So I have so many questions for you, Tammy, and I can already see where this is going. This is going to be the how to F and chill out episode because I think we all need this. And it's so funny because at the end of my interview with you, you asked me what is the one thing that I'm still working on. And I'm like, well, I need to relax. So
We all need
like,
to.
we all do. We were also talking about Enneagrams, and I want to bring up Enneagrams again because in the short little half-hour break that we had, by the way, go listen to my interview on Tammy's podcast. We'll have a link for you in the show notes. Tammy, you said you were a one, which
Yes.
is the perfectionist.
Yes.
And I went back to the book I use, The Road Back to You, the Enneagram Journey. That's how I figured out. I believe I share your Enneagram of a 1 because I am looking at it and I am like, I beat myself up when I make mistakes. I don't feel comfortable when I try to relax. There is too much to be done. I don't like it when people ignore or break the rules, like when the person in the fast lane at the grocery store has more items than allowed. I am like that when people are disturbing other people's efficiency. I can't take it. I can't take it. It's hard for me to let go of resentment. If I say it, I'll do it. Like all of these things, I'm like, whoa. And one of the things you also said to me is to look at the Enneagram and to see like how it comes out in terms of stress, like what you don't want to do. And so I looked at that and I'm like, here's the Enneagram, it's stress free. And you'll be like, okay, that's good. Stress. In stress, ones instinctively take on the not so great qualities we expect to see in unhealthy fours. Their inner critic begins working overtime, and their need to perfect the world goes into overdrive. They become more resentful of others having fun, more sensitive of criticism, and depressed. And I was like, whoa, I'm a 1, Tammy. And I don't know if anyone listening can see that they're a 1 as well. But I felt that was so enlightening.
So funny, right? So, and when I shared that when I found out, it was really like the last 5 years that I found out about the Enneagram, and I am by no means an expert. I do have a 10-part series on the Enneagram on my podcast. You can go check it out, where we discuss the good, the bad, the ugly, and the self-care prescription for each Enneagram type.
Interesting.
But when I presented this information to my family, both my daughter and my husband went, "Oh my God, that's not going to change."
Oh crap. That's like a personality trait that's there.
Exactly. And then my daughter said, "Have they been following you around when you're in a bad
That's
mood,
so
Mama?
funny.
Do they write it all down?" Yes, that's how I felt too. I was like, "Oh, I feel deeply, deeply uncomfortable in how I'm being seen here." And so that's what it made me really realize. There's a lot of things in my control in what I do in my daily life that can make me, quite frankly, easier to be around. It can make me a better parent. It can make me a better teacher. It can make me a better coach. It could make me want to hang out with myself, right? And a lot of it comes back to practicing self-compassion, deep self-care, and one of my mantras over and over is let it not be perfect. Just let it not be perfect. Like, you don't have to fight every fight. You don't have to get an A+ in life in every aspect.
And also, I think it's so important to be introspective and know exactly how you are and how you react to conversations. In that, and I know how much people love being self-prescribed. I know what you
Okay,
are,
well,
Bray.
so let me back this up. So before we started the episode, Joanne prefaced me with, "Do you know which one you are?" And I'm like, "I don't." And I'm like, "It's so crazy. I totally will be like, I know I'm a Libra, and but I don't know my number. So what do you think my number is?"
I think you're a 2.
Okay.
I think you're a helper.
Okay, that sounds right. I think I am a helper.
Number 1 that they say, when it comes to taking care of others, I don't know how or when to say no. I am a great listener and I remember the stories that make up people's lives. I am anxious to overcome misunderstandings in a relationship. It seems like people who love me should already know what I need. I am more comfortable giving than receiving.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like my home to feel like a safe and welcoming place for my family and others.
Yeah.
Like, your home is beautiful and gorgeous and wonderful. But here are the stress ones. So this is the thing that Tami turned me
Okay.
on to, is like you can really see it in terms of stress.
It's a shadow side.
It's your shadow.
It's the shadow side. It's this part where you're like, don't tell anyone my secrets. Here's my vulnerabilities.
2s in stress become demanding and controlling, either directly or manipulatively. They blame other people for what makes them unhappy and can be surprisingly aggressive and vengeful about past wrongs.
I could see that. Yeah. Yeah. When you know that, like I constant, when I am really stressed out, I think I have to say I'm sorry more than anything else because I'm constantly like, yeah.
But 2s are the helpers and the welcomers and the taker carers and the everything, and like it's so interesting.
And that is so funny.
Mhm.
Very Dr. Very what? Like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
What for, like your stress versus
Right.
your
I feel like. What do you
Yeah.
think, Tami? What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, no, legit, because I was telling Joanne earlier, if you look at just the good traits, we can all see ourselves in these, like, when we've had enough water, when we've had enough sleep,
had enough
when
food.
we've had enough sex, when we've had enough energy and exercise and we've fed ourselves well, we can all feel really good about things, right? We can see the good traits in all the numbers. But when you look at how we decompose when we're under stress, when we're sick, when we have too much on our plate, when we just got the third call from the principal because your kid is,
Sick again and you have to pick them up to go home.
Or thought that they could leave campus for lunch when they're not allowed to. I don't know.
I don't know where that happened. Who
All right,
knows?
come on.
yeah, all of these things. It's so you ratchet your number down and you start looking at this is where you feel like you can become more unique in it's how your particular brand of person falls apart. And my kind of person gets real rigid. It's like I have a real mean German grandma in my head. And I'm going to take us all down a few pegs. And we are going to redo everything until it is done right, as defined by me.
Yes, and one is also called the perfectionist. So, we are gonna get into exactly what to do right after this. I've been looking for simple ways to form healthy habits and to get the nutrients my body needs, even on busy mornings. And oh my gosh, has it been busy lately? And that's why I decided to give AG1 a try. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre and probiotics, and more, but it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's just one scoop mixed in water once a day, every day, and it makes me feel energized. Even like I still add the coffee on there because I like it a lot. AG1 tastes really good too, and I enjoy my glass every single morning. AG1 is a supplement I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1 year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/NGM. That's drinkag1.com/NGM. Check it out.
So, I want to share a little story about the mischief my little Maxie manages to get into and how, in about 60 seconds, it cost me $1,000.
That's a lot.
So one day I'm working and I hear my dog sneezing. I turn around and he is convulsing, like having seizures. I freak out, grab him. We jet over to the vet. They immediately start doing tests on him to figure out what's going on, flush him with fluids. And I've never seen a dog pee so much in his life. I swear to God. That dog just peed nonstop for like the next 2 days.
I've had that experience with Addie, with some of the things she's gotten into. Yeah.
Turns out that he had gotten a Q-tip out of the trash that had some cleaner on it. And I just gotta tell you, it was a scary, traumatic event made worse by the financial burden of that event. So if you're anything like me, you're bound to end up in a vet's office. And you're in there, and those vet care costs, they add up, and you're just anxiously waiting to find out how well your kid.
They're like kids. They're like kids. Yeah.
Yes, there are furry kids. But here's the thing, you don't have to be in such a tight spot. That's why you should check out ASPCA Pet Health Insurance. Because if you have pet health insurance, it could cover accidents and illnesses like that. And let me tell you, there is one thing I wish I had that day. It was pet health insurance.
The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program offers customizable accident and illness plans, making it easier for pet parents like you to help your pet get the care that they may need. They allow you to customize your plan, helping ensure that your pet's plan is as unique as they are.
The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program has been around for over 18 years, and they have helped more than 600,000 pets during that time. Because vet bills can really add up, especially when you're least expecting it. It's simple. Just go use their app to submit a claim, and you'll receive your reimbursement for eligible vet bills directly into your bank account.
To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/no guilt. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/no guilt. Again, that's aspcapetinsurance.com/no guilt. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance. So, Tami, we kind of wanted to go about this episode with, how to chill the F out because we all need it. So, what is one of the first things you did when you started that experiment into changing how you related to everybody?
One of the first things I did, honestly, was I'm a questioner. I want to know why things, I want to see if it works for me. I want to test the theories to see if they're BS or not. So I was like, okay, what would happen if I moved my body more often than not? Say 4 times a week rather than 3 times a week. What would happen if I did the meditation a few minutes a day? What would happen if I fed myself things that were not Twizzlers?
Red vines for me. Red vines.
Yeah, from my drawer in my desk. What would happen if I spent time laughing with friends? And again, what I found was like, what would happen if I took a moment to think about all the things that are going well in my life things that would bring me 1 to 3% more joy a day. So when you're a teacher, I don't know if anybody had this experience. Oh, wait, we all had this experience in 2020 when we're like, who are these children and why are they at my dining room table? And why are they asking me stuff that I haven't thought about since I was in grade school? They need to knock it off. I don't know. I don't know how to diagram your sentence,
Yeah.
honey.
No.
But imagine that you're with kids that do not belong to you all day long. And you are charged with not only their academic learning, but helping them develop who they are as people. It can be really exhausting, right? So at the end of every day, I would sit in my classroom and I would look around and say, what brought me 1% joy today?
That's something that I'm trying right now too. So I totally identify that. And how did it go for you?
On some days, it would be like the really, really small things like, oh, thank goodness there's still tissue.
Yeah.
Whew, I don't have to I don't have to splash out money for tissue. Oh, look, my sharpened pencil bouquet is still available. Yay, I don't have to sharpen pencils today. Oh, they cleaned up around the floor in their area. Oh, and then I could look at their work that I had put up. They had completed work. They were showing growth as students. I could look at their little empty chairs and imagine the groups that are doing great teamwork to work together to make sure that everybody in their group is getting what they need. And I could be like, I taught them that. I could look, you know what I mean? And it was like in those moments, I realized, wow, I have never, ever been asked to celebrate the progress towards a goal.
Mhm.
I've only been sort of lauded for reaching my goals. But really, what we do mostly is once we get near our goal, if we ever get near our goal, instead of celebrating that milestone, we just move the goalposts further down.
Yep.
So we are always left with this feeling of dissatisfaction, like we're never quite there. We're never quite enough. We aren't doing enough. We aren't enough as people. And being well rested, being well hydrated, having some mindfulness practices in my life and that goes with also the noticing the 1% joys.
Yeah.
I was like, this is actually not a terrible life, what I'm doing here.
No, so there's two things in there that I really want to dig into. The first thing, let's talk about these 1% joys, because I'm reading this book right now by Gabby Bernstein called Super Attractor. And it's all one of the chapters I was reading actually last night when I am having all of these feelings of anger and like going inward on myself because of this personal situation happening. She's like, go full in on appreciation when you feel those moments. Like, write in your journal, like 5 pages of everything you appreciate and everything that's okay. And in that moment, when I am so raging mad, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to go to appreciation. And I'm here in the bathroom and I'm like, I like the feel of the tile underneath my feet. I am comfy in this sweater right now and like how it like halfway covers my arms because that's very rare as a tall person to get sleeves like this. And you have to go so granular. And it seems like it doesn't make a difference, but it did make a difference and helped raise me just a little bit, just a tiny bit out of the anger.
To me, it's like a jackpot like gratitude when the end of the day I can be like, nobody yelled. We didn't have any fights in the house. But some days you don't get that. And that seems so granular and small, but it isn't. And then like you just said, you have to come up with something else. I didn't get indigestion after dinner. I like how this sweater makes me look slim. I don't know, whatever
It's
it
very
is,
cute.
right? Like,
No, but it's all true, right?
It's all
But
true.
sometimes, so I have ratcheted this noticing practice up even more. Every day I ask myself 3 to 5 things I'm thankful for. I write down 3 things I did well the day before because I do this I see the sunrise literally every single day of the year. Doesn't matter. I am awake at the crack of dawn. I like to wake the birds up. I know.
Joanne
You're welcome. I'll take the first shift.
I do it.
That's
I do
what I'm
it.
doing.
Yeah, that's what I say too. I'm like, I will wake up early, but if you ask me to stay up later, slangry happens. I'm slangry.
Every vacation, we should get up and watch the sunrise. Never mind. No. Nah.
But so I write down things that I did well the day before. And Bree, sometimes is I didn't react to my child
Right.
because previously I would have reacted to my child and now I haven't. Right.
Yeah.
I also take my gratitude out into the world by I write Yelp reviews for good service. I send friends messages saying, you really helped me with this small thing that was really significant. I try to write some sort of appreciation to my spouse every day.
Oh, like via
Yeah.
text or
Oh.
like, how do you do it?
Yeah. Yeah. I just text him. I'm like, hey, thanks for making sure that we had sourdough. Our kid is going through this weird toast situation where she wants to
Like a
toast 24 hours a day. And so we
Yeah.
never have bread unless my husband's like, I'll stop by and I got 2 things of sourdough. And I'm like, me too. And he's like, where are we going to hide the bread?
I could tell you what happens at the end of that because my daughter went through a toast phase and then we get on this habit of buying bread. And so now we're still in that habit. She's out of the toast phase. Bread is molding in our pantry. Like I have to dig it out and be like, ah, like,
Yeah. But the thing though, is these practices, they seem small, they seem insignificant, but our brain, it doesn't know if we're experiencing something in real time or if we're reliving it.
mhm.
So if you tell your brain, oh, the other thing is for 2 minutes every day, I write down something great in like as much detail as I can, because it's like adding to the greatest hits of your life. And your brain's like, oh my God, I love this story. This is so
Right.
great. Love it.
Yeah.
And we also do family meetings every week and we start with compliments.
That's
So
huge.
we have to compliment each other.
I should make my kids start doing that with each other, honestly. Honestly, we need to bring that back.
Right? It changes things.
It
I did
does
that when I
change
was
Yeah.
a teacher.
Yes. The compliments,
Like,
and it's so hard though with kids because they will end up doing some backhanded compliments that you're like, oh, let's talk about what a compliment is.
well, first it's a learned skill, right? You're like,
You get these things, they're like, you're not as mean as you were yesterday. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. Oh, you're not as ugly today as you were yesterday. Like, guys,
That's when you know you got teens in
Yeah.
the house.
that's it. Good teens. Yeah. So appreciation is so huge. And we're going to get into the rest of the tips when we come back.
Hey there, I'm Debbie Reber, the founder of Tilt Parenting and the author of the book Differently Wired. The mission of Tilt is to change the way neurodivergence, whether that's having a learning disability, having ADHD, being gifted, autistic, or some combination of all of the above, is perceived and experienced so differently wired kids and the parents like us raising them can truly thrive. On the Tilt Parenting podcast, I get to talk with authors, therapists, educators, and parenting experts who are committed to this mission. I ask the questions my listeners are most curious about when it comes to supporting our kids. And in turn, my guests share strategies for challenges, out-of-the-box ideas for navigating school, best practices for therapies, tips for advocating, and so many thoughtful insights on what it really takes to help our kids grow up feeling seen and respected so they can create awesome lives for themselves. I know that raising a differently wired kid can feel overwhelming and isolating, but I promise you, you are not alone, and it can feel so much better. If you're on this parenting journey, come listen to Tilt Parenting. Together, we can shift this paradigm and show up for our exceptional kids with hope, possibility, and joy.
If you're a parent, I invite you to join us at the Mindful Mama podcast, where it's all about becoming a less irritable, more joyful parent. With sometimes hilarious and always thought-provoking experts and friends, at Mindful Mama, we know that you cannot give what you do not have. And when you have calm and peace within, then you can give it to your children. I'm Hunter Clark Fields, and I can't wait to see you there. Listen in to the Mindful Mama podcast.
Okay, so what is another tip, Tami, that really helped you get calmer and get happier when you did this experiment?
everyone hates this one, but it is exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like, but I don't want to, or I'm too busy, or I'm this, I'm that. And Joanne and I had we had a like fangirl moment when we were talking about the book Burnout.
Free knows my fangirl about burnout.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to let everyone know, I'll be the bad guy. If there's one activity that can change your mental health, your outlook, how your body like physically does things, it's movement.
Mm-hmm.
And if we change it from this is a punishment or if this is a have to, into the idea like I'm completing a stress cycle, I'm getting out of a stress debt, I'm elongating my life, it can change your relationship to movement. Also, so I was telling Joanne earlier too, I interviewed 100 women about self-care in 2016 because I was like, I think I might be talking about something different than other people are. So I'm going to take a little temperature check. And when I asked people, where could your self-care be improved? What needs some massaging? What needs some help? 100% of respondents said exercise. I need to go to the gym more. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And I thought, oh my God, exercise has terrible PR.
It does, because exercise is associated with body image, which is very different than what we're saying right here, like, especially for women.
Exactly. It's really associated
Mhm.
with diet
Mhm.
culture. And we can never live up to this ideal of, no one lives up to that ideal because it doesn't really exist. So, but if we change it from we're trying to control how our body looks to it managing how our body feels now and in the future.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing, and I agree. I fell off the exercise wagon during Christmas and the holidays. Things got too stressful, and I was like, "Forget this. This needs to go off my plate right now." But I noticed that everything just started hurting. Like my elbows started hurting, like my hips started hurting, everything started hurting. And so I just went back 2 weeks ago to strength training again, just videos in my house here. And it is amazing how fast you can see progress when you focus just on how your body feels and movement. Like I was stretching and I'm like, "Ooh, this is a lot tighter than I remember it being." And now just like a week or so into it, these pains that I was experiencing, they're gone, and my stretching has improved so much. And there's something to be said about how you feel in your body is really how you act everywhere else. If you are comfortable in your body, you have more of an impact on the rest of the world because you're not so focused on how you feel. You're more focused on how you can make other people feel and the impact that you have.
Well, absolutely. And if you want to do this as an experiment for yourself, say next time you have a disagreement with your child, instead of deciding in that moment, oh, I'm going to fix this, meaning I'm going to fix you, little
Mhm.
kid who's doing the thing wrong. If you take a step back and you go do without saying a word, say, I need to go let off some steam, and you go move your body. You don't have to change your clothes. You take a walk, do some jumping jacks, get on your exercise bike, whatever. Just do 20 minutes. Let your mind do what it's going to do and re-engage with the kid 20 minutes after you've had some exercise. I bet that outcome and that interaction will be completely different.
It'll be a little less
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
A little less aggressive, a little less angry.
A little less intense.
Well, here's the story. It wasn't about me actually. It was my daughter. Because she asked me last night. She's like, "Mom, have you worked out yet?" And I'm like, "Nope, I haven't worked out yet." And she's like, "Oh, could I work out with you?" I'm like, "Yep, sure." And so my plan was to come home and work out immediately. Her plan was to put all of her laundry in the washer, change into the perfect set of gym clothes, and have me wait for her to do the workout.
Sounds about right.
And so I was like, and these plans weren't communicated at all. And so I started the workout, and I like gave her 5 minutes, and then I gave her 2 minutes, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm starting." And she stopped in and she's like, "I don't know why you can't just wait for me." And started doing the workout. And we did a whole 30-minute workout. And at the end, it was a little less intense. She was still pissed off at me and refused to talk to me. But I mean, that is commitment for you right there of a teen.
That is commitment to you are wrong and I am right.
It was like, I dug in.
Yes, it's commitment. But yeah, it helped her a little bit. And with me, I was able to handle her anger. I'll be like, "Okay, you're going to get over this. It's going to be fine."
Yeah, right. Because there's not so much of that pent up. Because, like, I think, while I do need to work on that area, and I know that, like moving my body more and everything, I think that, like, you can physically feel all that in your body. And I think that at the end of a good session of whatever it is, yoga, walking, dancing, running, whatever, you do feel less of that pent up, whatever it is, we'll call it energy, stuck inside you. And when it's not already full to the brim, there's room then for other things to come in and for it not to make you explode.
Exactly. And I have to say, even when I was at school, I called it screwing our lids on correctly. Like I would take my students out and we would run a couple laps before we came into the classroom
Oh, that's a good idea.
because I was like, hi, I don't know what y'all had for
Yeah.
breakfast. I don't know who you're mad at from the bus. I don't know anything about your life before you were standing in this line waiting for me. So let's have this moment out here in nature, as much as nature you can have as a school ground. But like we're going to be outside, we're going to move our bodies together. And when we come back inside, it'll be like the great reset button. So we can get started off on the right foot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great thing to do.
I think honestly, like every school day should begin with an outdoor recess or something because kids, they have that energy to be let out. I mean, I'm not even going to get on my soapbox about society and the society we live in now and how like our kids don't get enough time to like be out and about anymore. But I think that's excellent. I could imagine that would have really helped.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Tami, what is coming up for you that you're really excited about?
I got certified as a fair play facilitator last spring. Y'all, I am helping families redistribute the mental load, the domestic labor, and people are discovering these big pockets of time where they're like, oh, if I'm not in charge of every single thing at my house, I do have time to exercise. Oh, I do have time to hang out with my friends. Oh, I am going to go away with my friends for the weekend. Oh, I'm going to take that painting class, that dance class, all of these things. And so I'm helping people see their time differently. I'm helping people see their relationships differently. I'm helping them realize that their kids are way more capable of doing chores and being responsible for themselves at a much younger age. And also allowing our spouses to be full players in our households so that they too feel an ownership of being in their kids' lives, being in their spouses' lives, and they're not some sort of guest in their own home. And I've just seen so many clients go from feeling overwhelmed with everything that they have to do to seeing that they're empowering their family to step up into this confidence and leadership. And it just is like families connecting and it feels really good.
That is awesome. That's awesome. Well, we have a link to Tami and her podcast right below. And thank you so much, Tami, for joining us here. It has been a pleasure, and I will chill the F out. Self-care is such a fraught word, I feel. Like it's almost
fraught? Like, what do you mean?
Like it's one more thing we have to do. Do you ever feel like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just, it's another thing where at the end of the day, when you're beating yourself up because you didn't do things the way that you would have liked the day to go, or you're tired or you're sad or you're starting to feel sick and you're just like, man, I should really take better care of myself. I suck.
Do you like notice how much like self-sabotage goes into it? Because when she was listing her things of the things that she does every day, like list 5 things of gratitude, list 3 things of thankfulness, I've tried that before, and I end up beating myself up when I don't do it, and then it becomes a way that I'm feeling bad and a way I'm measuring myself versus the way I'm making myself feel better. And I'm just like, when does this all end? Like, brains are funny.
Yeah, I would say it's the eternal struggle of a mom, of a woman,
of a person. Maybe it's like of a woman. Okay, because I had this other thought while I was walking today, because one of the things in self-care is connectedness and making friendships, which like I did last year with this Margarita Monday thing, inviting neighbors over to my house and everything. And then one of my things that I do is I'm like, I'm putting in all this work. Why don't other people do this too? Like, this is my self-talk doing it. It's very not great. But I was like, why don't other people have things? And so this Friday, there is a Galentine's event in my neighborhood that I was invited to.
Fun!
But do you know the first thing that popped in my head?
What?
Oh, they made a mistake. They didn't mean to invite me.
Oh, no.
Isn't that crazy? Like, it's crazy, but I think a lot of people feel this way. Like, they'll see the invitation, be like, no, they don't really want me there. They're just being nice. And it would be much better for everyone if I just stay home and not cause the awkwardness.
Oh,
isn't that horrible?
That's not good. But I was going to say, like,
good.
I hear you on the whole. It takes a lot of effort to keep these things going. And
Yeah.
I think that you talked about too in the podcast episode how like you had a stressful time around the holidays, and so you cut the exercising because you needed something to take off your plate. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of times we cut what we think is going to be an easy cut, and we don't really take that. Let's actually stop and list out the reasons why I'm cutting it and what are the possible bad sides of it, because we cut out
Mhm.
the gratitude. We cut out the hanging out with friends. We have like, just to throw that out there, I immediately started thinking about how we have a group of moms that we were hanging out with quite a bit, like you and I were a part of. And then it kind of shifted, post COVID. And then we got in this thing like for a little while where we were like planning stuff, and then it just kind of fell apart. If there
Mhm.
wasn't somebody planning all of it, everything just sort of fell apart, and now I can't even tell you the last time I saw half of those gals.
No. Yeah.
So it's funny how sometimes the things that we take off because we think it's easy to take off our plate ends up causing more things to fall apart.
You're right. You're absolutely right with that, because it's like the social support and connection. That's what you rely on in terms of stress.
Right, and you think you don't need it, but you do.
You do need it. I mean, like yesterday when I went through my emotional breakdown, the first thing I thought of was like, I'm going to call Brie. I need to like really, really like to go down this thing, because it's too much life sometimes
Yeah.
to process on your own. And you really need your social support to help you. Else you end up lashing out at people who don't deserve it because you didn't have somebody to bounce things off of before they came out of your mouth.
Which is everybody all the time. Like we
Which is
all
everybody all the time, yeah.
So, like, you got to give yourself grace on it. But yes, so, like, hopefully everybody was listening to this episode and you found some good ways to chill the F out, because,
Yes.
yeah, Joey and I can tell you, man, 2024 has been a hell of a year so far. And we're like, how far into it? We're not even,
1/12.
we're
1/12
not
of the
even
way in.
done with the
Yes.
first quarter.
It's gonna go better. It's gonna go better. If you're listening to this right now, by the way, have you bought your retreat ticket yet? Have you? That is one thing that you can do for your self-care, is to go out somewhere on your own where you know it's going to be a positive and loving experience and people are going to lift you up. That is the No Guilt Mom Retreat. And we have a link for you in the show notes for that. So please come and join us in Phoenix. We can hug you in person. We can talk to you in person. You become a part of the No Guilt Mom family forever when
Well,
we meet you in person.
and you get to enjoy all the funness that we create in our heads. I mean, Friday night party at a garden. It's going to be fantastic. Massages and drinks and food and fun and party yoga. I can't,
Party yoga.
like,
Yeah.
all the things we
It's
have
gonna-
planned is going to be freaking phenomenal. So
It's going to be the best weekend. So that link is in the show notes. And until next time, remember, best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
thanks for stopping by.
Hey, are you a parent of a teenager? Are you feeling overwhelmed about how to be what they need while also holding limits and boundaries that keep them safe? Are you tired of conversations that negate how messy this season of parenting is? Well, I've got you. My name is Casey O'Rourke. I am a positive discipline trainer, parent coach, and the host of the Joyful Courage podcast. Every week, I come to you with an interview digging into tough topics with experts I trust and solo shows that go deep into the personal growth and mindset needed to raise teens in a way that grows them into confident, capable young people. I am not afraid of getting real about the intersection of conscious parenting and the teen years, while also bringing in vulnerability, humor, and lightness. I'm walking the path with you and honored to serve. Listen to Joyful Courage on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you consume podcasts.